Now I can start this. That fast, huh? I think we are live, so people will be joining us any second here. Let me try to set some stuff up. See if this worked. Oh, yep. All right, the stream is good. Come in, people that will be joining. We are here. I know a lot of you are probably headed towards your local game store, hopefully, to play in your pre-release. That's what we will be doing, but we have some time to kill, so I've got a treat. We have Tyler here, which is unusual for a Friday, because usually Tyler works on Friday. So we are going to do some brewing now that I remember that we actually have cards on Empty Joe. So we're going to take a look at a standard deck. We're going to make a new deck with the Path to Discovery. So green, explore. And we're just going to start typing in the deck list. And then this is one of my top 10 cards, and apparently Tyler is also on a very similar brain wave, or wavelength, whatever you want to call it, and has also been brewing around with the Path to Discovery. So we are going to... How do I have... Oh, I actually must open one. Are these legal already in Standard? That's crazy if they already switched it over. So, are we running 4 of them?
I had it at 3.
3?
Yeah, just because the Explore helps you with it.
Oh yeah, the Explore is... And then how about the animation module?
I had 4 of them actually.
Animation module is a... So here's the combo. I explained it in my video, in my top 10 video. These two pair insanely well together. So, Path of Discovery says whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it explores. Animation module says when 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on a permanent you control, you may pay 1. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token, and then just ignore the other text. It's rarely going to come into play in this one.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah, if you need another way to start the triggering off again, then it can. But so basically, animation module is going to put in a token, which is then going to put in a token, which is then going to put in a token for every 1 mana you spend. So really, really powerful little combination. Reminds me of kind of the hidden stockpiles animation. And yeah, anything else that this deck needs in it, just start going down your deck list.
Yeah, I got the Jade Light Ranger, obviously, 4 of those.
Is this the double Explore?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really powerful card. I think this is one of the most powerful cards out of the set.
It's very good. And it's only 3-drop I'm running, so... And then I've got a bunch of 2-drops. I got the Merfolk Branchwalkers.
Yeah, Merfolk Branchwalker, for sure. So do you have a Merfolk sub-theme in here? Or just these two?
I did think about it. It's... The 1-drop Merfolk is kind of a... becomes a 2/2, but Wild Growth Walker.
Wild Growth Walker. Oh, this is the actually, yeah, this one actually makes it worthwhile now
It
too.
is a really good card in this deck. You gain. I got up to 40+ life a lot of games just with that. Gaining 3 life every time you explore.
Okay. Then let's see here, so...
When I was trying out the Shadowed Caravel, that vehicle...
Yeah, the pirate ship. Shadowed, right? Shadowed Caravel. How many of these?
I had it 4. You can... We'll just do...
Well, it's because this one is neat with the sideboard card you were talking about. Do you run it in your sideboard?
Yeah.
Or do you run it in the main? The
sideboard.
Throne?
Yeah.
See, so this gives us a vehicle that works double duty here. Throne of the God Pharaoh. Now I'll have the sideboard. It will be hidden for until I move it over. But Throne of the God Pharaoh is pretty powerful with Shadowed Caravel in this deck, because then you can end a turn tap all of your stuff because that's one of the problems with Throne of the God Pharaoh with creatures that do not have haste, is they have to wait a turn for Throne of the God Pharaoh, but if you have a vehicle with Shadowed Caravel, at least with 2 power on board, you can then just tap excess creatures into it.
Yep.
So then this could be a win con at the end of
Really helps
turn.
against the board stall. And then I've got just like the Ixalan's Diviner. It's just an
Just a
Explorer
2,
card.
yeah, the Ixalan's.
It's probably
This is-
replaceable. 2
2 L's with it. This is funny. We can almost make a Merfolk sub theme if you're looking at any other +1/+1 counter strategy.
Yeah.
I know there's one that when a Merfolk comes into play, you put a +1 counter on
Or
something.
That's Keeper.
Ixalan's, which one? Oh, yep. Diviner. There we go. Yep. The Keeper sucks. How many of these do you have?
4.
Helps you stall to get to the combo.
Yeah.
0/3 explores.
Blocker.
Yeah, any 2-mana explore card is fine, especially when we're not
1/4
looking to.
and-
Yeah, 1/4 or gives you a land. So
Mhm.
a lot of people are suggesting why not go into Constrictor, huh?
Splash Black. Yeah.
Do you run the Ballista
I don't. I was thinking about replacing the Diviner with the Ballista.
with Ballista? Yeah, because Walking Ballista definitely would want to be in this list too. 2 L's. Jeez, I don't like my L's. Ballista. And alrighty, is something we can definitely consider in the sideboard for this, but yeah, because I guess it's not as good as like all of these do explore, so it gets off the enable or the one things that want to explore, the Shadow Caravel and the Wild Growth Walker.
Yeah, those two, they don't have much synergy together alone, the Walker and the Caravel, because they can't clear the Caravel.
Yep. Okay.
It's kind of an awkward position there. And then I have 3 of the 1-drop enchantment that whenever a creature you control is targeted, you draw a card.
What is that one called? Let's see. Enchantment. Maybe if we went down to standard. Shaper's Sanctuary. Oh, that's what it's called. Yep. The Shaper's Sanctuary. How many of these do you have? 3 Shaper's Sanctuary. Yeah, protects your or at least you'll get a draw through. Okay.
And I'm not sure what else we had. That leaves, if we go 24 lands, that leaves 6.
Yeah, 6 more slots if we have 24 lands. You could probably go a very aggressive land count in this too, because everything is quite reasonable.
Yeah, you probably don't need to go full 24.
Yeah. Let's see here. What other stuff explores at the moment? We miss any in green? The Wayfinder would be the next one. We got the Branchwalkers, Diviners. Enter the Unknown. Target creature controls explorers. I think this is a card that I've not been the biggest fan of. For it's nice because the best case scenario, you already have to have a creature out, so you need a good 1-drop. This deck, you can already see we don't have a 1-drop. So this would be turn 3, and by that point, do you want excess lands? We have all the mana we need. It's kind of awkward. So was the Wayfinder in there?
I didn't have that in there.
Okay. And the Vanguard's terrible, so let's see. What is it? What was it? Other Merfolk +1/+1/+1 stuff. I just want it for the sake of yeah, going to blue wouldn't be too bad either to get the Kumena's Tyrant of Araska. This because everything is a Merfolk. Well, I guess this is a human. They screwed up there.
I had 2 of the one that makes Dryad tokens. That you can reach up to.
Okay, yeah. What is that? Yeah, it makes sapling tokens.
Yeah,
But it is a Dryad. Yeah, Tendershoot Dryad. You had how many of these?
2 of them.
2 of them. Were you running any Growing Rights of Ilimic in this one? Because this one also is interesting. If we get the version I was making was going all out on tokens, so the Growing Rights was pretty sweet in this one because it's gonna find you a creature most likely, and then when you get this thing moved over. But yeah, without going the all in on the token strategy, it definitely isn't the way to go. So yeah, you run anything for removal? That's another thing with black. Splashing black, you can get a couple. There's some interesting removal spells now. Vraska's Contempt, Fatal Push, the -2/-2, gain 2 life. All of those are going to be really... That's why I keep arguing with people. I hear all this murmuring that if energy gets banned, it's just going to be Ramen Up. Ramen Up has some massive counters to it. A lot in the form of black, Vraska's, Essence Extraction, and now the new one, which do very well against that strategy. I think it's much easier to shut down than energy is. So, all right. You didn't run into... What's the infinite combo? Decoction module? What does that do with the... Yeah, that just gets the energy. No, it's not the decoction. It's the animation module. What was the other module that it... Module. I thought there was like an infinite combo with animation module. Fabrication module. Or do you have to put them all together? Whenever you get one or more, you put a +1 counter on target creature control. Yeah, you have to, all three of them makes an infinite combo or yep, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Resilient Kenra was a good one. I had 4 of those.
Resilient Kenra.
Yeah.
The Resilient Kenra.
Because you can explore that into your graveyard.
Okay, so you can throw this in your graveyard and then get it back for 6 just to have some sort of, yeah. See, that's another reason if we go into blue, Champion would be a good card for that little synergy. But yeah, so this is definitely a budget build for people that are looking for a, hey, we can rip off Gathering Magic's plan on budget, right? Didn't I used to produce that? This is definitely budget.
And then the rest were lands. So
basic lands.
I think like 16
forests. And then use any utility lands then, just because you could.
Lands, just because it's mono green, why not? I had.
Any good deserts?
I had the cycling desert.
The green cycling desert?
Yeah.
Desert of... Yeah, because you can actually explore into this pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You want all 4 of them?
Yeah.
And then it's something you can just get rid of.
And then the new land that lets you tap 5 mana to draw. What is that?
Tap 5...
The Arch Varazka, I think is what it's called.
Tap 5... Let's see here. Let's put down to rivals. We're set. No, we don't want...
And then it's in deserts.
No, I don't want Plane Chase. Click off Plane Chase. Whatever. Set. They don't have the setup yet. Are they kidding me? Or maybe they're not considering it standard quite yet. So I'd have to come down here.
Yeah,
so it's called...
Yeah, I think it's Arch.
Arch. Arch of Araska, yeah. And you had 3 of them, or...
I think I just had 2.
2 Arch of Araskas.
Yeah.
And then 1 more to land.
There was one that makes a desert that makes a creature if you sacrifice it, just to kind of jumpstart the animation module. The Cradle of the Accursed, I think.
Cradle of the Cursed?
Yeah.
Do they not have one from standard that put counters on stuff? Oh, they have the desert that gives +3/+3 until end turn. Yeah, that's probably not the right route to go with this one. Costing some damage. So, yep. So that's Tyler's list right now with the animation module. Not sure if we can get any games in with it, just because how much are these cards at the moment to grab into them? Well, I wonder how the Jade Light, how much the Jade. Let's do it for to see how much this cost. Jade Light. Yep, 7 tickets. That is something I'm not purchasing at the moment because they're going to be worth nothing come a few days when this gets oversaturated into the market. So basically the idea of this, let's go to converted mana cost, is you're going to chump until you can go pretty big with the Caravel and the Wild Growth Walker. It's going to be miserable for ramming up to beat this deck, I would say.
You can pretty much ignore your life total because of your blockers and the life you gain. Like, removal, you almost don't really need it unless they're going, like, infinite or something.
This is going to be very resilient, to a lot of the more control, too, because then it's the board wipe. It just takes 1 creature to get this animation module back online. And then it's, or at least 1 creature that then gets a +1/+1 counter. And then you're back doing the cycling for whatever land you have left. And even exploring on a Shadow Caravel will double it for the... Well, I mean, if you have the combo, you have the combo. But even if you don't have Path Discovery out, for example, if you explore, then at least you can get animation module going. And the Shadow Caravel, I assume, will dodge a lot of removal and will start to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's... all right.
Wild Growth Walker is really what makes the deck work. It gets huge quick, and then just The
Yeah,
life is really
it definitely feels very similar to like an Ajani's Pride Mate for this deck.
It
So
does.
it's going to get big. It's a 1/3, so it's going to dodge the shock. Once you get it up to a 2/4, it dodges the lightning strike. Does still have the fatal push you have to deal with, but also if you're looking for a rotation deck, of course the animation module combo goes away, but the vast majority of this deck is here to stay. So yeah, what's the only card is the animation module, it looks like. It rotates here. And going into some other decks, like the versions that I definitely looking at, green black Whiny Constrictor looks fun with Walking Ballista. Huatli also looks really promising with the ability to then give you another like payoff for going into the go wide animation, because once that happens, then you'll be drawing a ton of cards. So there are a lot of interesting things to do with it. The best way is to start out with just with like the enablers and see where you're going, and then if a specific creature, for example, isn't doing what you want it to be doing, then later down the road you can change it into another color. So for example, if like, oh man, because it's gonna be very easy to go another color. So for example, if the Merfolk payoff does happen, you could go into the Merfolk card that then puts +1 counters on all of your... I think it only puts on all Merfolk, though, so it doesn't work with the animation module. Could be some of the fun thing, though. You could turn everything into Merfolk with that enchantment, but then we're getting very cute at that point. But
yeah, there's even the 2 mana that when a creature enters, you put a counter on it. What's that? The artifact creature. What is that?
2 mana whenever a creature...
It's a 2/1.
2/1. And it's whenever a creature enters battlefield. Artifact.
It's a shapeshifter card.
Shapeshifter.
I can't think of the name of it.
Don't want Plane Chase. Reset this. Standard. So artifact for 2. It does what?
Metallic Mimic. Yeah.
Oh, Metallic Mimic. Yeah. Metallic Mimic you can name servos. And
or Merfolk.
Or Merfolk, yeah. If you go heavier into the Merfolk. And that's a good way to get it going. Merfolk, too, you could bring in... The Forerunner's kind of cool. When it enters battlefield, you may search your library for Merfolk card, put it on top. Whenever another Merfolk enters battlefield, but it's a 4 mana one. The only one of these that I really like at the moment is the Pirate. I'm definitely looking to build a Bantu's list with the Pirate. So, yeah, I would love to run this, but of course, I'm too cheap. Plus, I don't know how much time we have before the pre-release. Just thought while Tyler was here, we'd actually throw him on here. Every time Tyler's here, I definitely want to put on the live stream, because this is one of my most enjoyable things, is actually getting another brewer. We have so many people. Like, I can try to bounce ideas off of your everyday mill of the run, or run of the mill. What's the expression? Anyway, but it's not the same. When Tyler and I get together, man, it's just, it sparks back and forth, and we build off each other a lot. There are a lot of things, angles he sees that I don't see, and vice versa. So any questions about this deck, any suggestions that we might have overlooked? Now River's Herald Boon is also kind of cool. Again, the +1 counters aren't that big of a deal. It's all about exploring. Black, what does black give us for explore?
I mean, Constrictor, if you're going black.
Yeah.
There's the 2
and the other 2 mana
explore,
one that's pretty good. The Seekers.
Tracker.
Deadeye Tracker, yes, this one's pretty good but it works off your opponent's cards in graveyard.
That's not the one I'm thinking of. The one that
Seeker Squires
explores,
too.
You pay 1.
Oh, the new one that pays 1 to explore. Discard a card, explore, the Tomb Robber. Yep, that one's not too...
Oh, it's 3 mana.
3 mana, yeah. And it's only 1/1. So you have to put in a lot of work for this. But, I mean, talk about enabling these two.
Yeah.
After a while, you just start to explore.
If the animation module over there might be an option.
Yeah, or the Path of Discovery if you don't have the Path of Discovery quite yet. It's absolutely... It actually gets the animation module still. You're starting to have to produce more. Because it will be 2 for every one of these rather than 1, but at the same time, and you have to have a card to discard, so that's kind of weird.
Rishkar.
Yeah, Rishkar, you go heavier into the +1/+1 route.
Yeah, I was trying to stick to the rotation proof idea. The modules in there.
And cheap. This is insanely inexpensive. So say when the Jaylight Ranger goes down in value, this is going to be a very, very inexpensive deck to build. I don't think the Tendershoot is currently selling for much, and even beyond MTGO or any of these, there wasn't a card over $5 except Blood Sun, so I know that these are quite cheap at the moment. And I love this set too for all you finance people. this is a set you should definitely keep your eye on. It is going to be sandwiched in between the release of Unstable, which people are already still spent all their money on, and 25, Masters 25. So I think this is going to have the Eldritch Moon effect. The reason why Liliana was able to hit that $40 price tag definitely was because it was an Eldritch Moon, not in a main set. Because Liliana did not have the popularity that Chandra did or Gideon did, and it was still more expensive than either one of them. It was definitely set specific, and this is going to be one of those sets that can definitely go through the roof because people, I think, are just going to forget about it. Because in all honesty, there's some cool cards in here, but there's nothing that really stands out that makes an archetype itself for like the more competitive popular. So anyway, back to the sideboard. Throne of the God Pharaoh is another little win con if it gets hard to attack in, and does, we talked about the Shadowed Grave. So the red Snapcaster will be a great spec. Ross, I hope it's so much easier to control what's in your graveyard than it is to control what's in your opponent's graveyard. So we'll have to wait and see how well. There are a lot of matchups I can think about in Modern where the reverse Snapcaster does nothing. It just sits there and doesn't really get you any value. Okay, so you cut the Kenras for Mimics and test the Mimic. Be a second copy of Path of Discovery. Other than it, we're not too worried about +1 counters. Oh, for the animation module. Yeah, yep. The Mimics for Resilient Kenras. Yep, we can definitely do. I don't even have any Metallic Mimics either. I think I sold Metallic. No, I think I might have bought them when they were. Yep, I bought them again when they were down to 4. But I didn't want to look at MTG Finance right now, but because I think here I'll show people my spec, and I'm getting murdered right now because out of sight, out of mind on MTGO.
Oh, crap.
I've been buying these and they're now lower than what I was buying them for, so I need these to go back up because I still believe they will. If you actually check out deck list, Spellqueller is just it. You keep finding new and new decks that are running Spellqueller. So there is like a Bant Collected Company deck. There is a Bant Spirits deck. There is now just a white control that doesn't even use red. There is, of course, the traditional Spellqueller Jeskai control. And then I saw in a random deck. What was it trying to do? They were running Spellqueller. I think it was another like 4-color or 5-color aggro deck that was running Spellqueller in there. So it's definitely hitting Modern, and so I snapped these up. Just again, the Eldritch Moon effect, it was sandwiched in between. If a good reference card is Collective Brutality, it got all the way up to 25 tickets. So Spellqueller is not so that far off in playability in Modern. So that was my theory. So anyway, where was I going with this? Let's go to some of your comments. If you at me, people, at me, and then I'll be able to read questions. It's hard for me to go through chat without an at to kind of get your questions. Yeah, the Hashep Oasis does look interesting. The other desert that you can animate to become a 3/4 also look kind of interesting in this, just because there might be some cards in graveyards or lands in graveyards. No, there wouldn't be, would there? There's absolutely no way to put lands in graveyards. They always go to your hand. Yeah, that's going to be an issue.
Wise, I had like Thrashing Brontodon.
Thrashing Brontodon that kills enchantments. Yeah, Thrashing Brontodon's a good one.
Ixalan finding is pretty hard to go against.
Your usual run-of-the-mill Death Gorge Scavengers, is that what it's called? Death Gorge Scavengers is a great card to put in the sideboard. There is, what are some other typical green cards at the moment? Nissa you could even put in. What does Nissa do at these days? Yeah, Heroic Intervention, yeah. Nissa. We have Naturalized now, or we had Naturalized for a while. Did it just come in this one?
I think it just came.
Yeah, I think so. So World Waker's, not World Waker, what's the one called? Vital Force is kind of cool because you get the emblem whenever a land enters battlefield.
Think about Nissa.
It's not terrible. If they kill your Path of Discovery, it's a way to get it back. In fact, you could even mill one early on and then get it back if you knew that was going to be a thing. But that too bad a voice isn't in this current standard. But yep. So I guess a few of the white cards. White doesn't have a lot of Explore, does it? Because it was all higher cost stuff. It was overcost. So they have the 3-mana one that's okay for strike. But the Huatli, I would think, would be the reason to go into the white. I thought of Oath of Ajani, but Oath of Ajani, the more and more I think about it, the worse it becomes. There was definitely some other things I was looking at white. Oh, you just have a lot of the go wide, the Regal Caracals, the Angel of Inventions that you can then go on a more Because when they come in the battlefield too with Path to Discovery, you explore that many times. So Servo Exhibition, SRAM's Expertise, those type of stuff. So anyway, alrighty, so there is that brew. Now I think let's try. We'll leave any other questions for this deck or anything that you guys have any questions about, and then we will go on to another brew that I am definitely looking forward to. Now this is because of both of, well, my last league that I played in, I thought about this combo, and it just seems like it might work. So, oh, there we go. I'm like, where's that? So, we all know Oketro's Monument. Bantu's Monument is a card that I've been wanting to brew around for quite some time. Black creature spells you cost 1 less, and whenever you cast a creature spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain life. Now, there are 2 cards, and they're not necessarily, they're non-bows because they don't share a creature type, but there are 2 cards that I think finally enable Bantu's Monument. The first one being the new Elvish Visionary. Hey, I said it right. I didn't call it Elvish Mystic for once. Draw a card, you lose a life. What is that one called? Let's go back to standard. We're going to find a bazillion. It's a vampire. I guess I can put vampire in here and it should find it. And there we go. So I think the Dusk Legion Zealot works perfectly with this Bantu's Monument. So you can go a couple different routes too. There's another vampire that draws cards equal to the amount of vampires you control. So you could easily go like a vampire, Bantu's Monument, drain life type strategy. Unfortunately, though, a lot of the vampires you do desperately want in a go wide are going to be in white, and they're going to be a Oketro's Monument is still a good enabler for that. But the Dusk Legion and then this Pirate, I think, is really, really fun because it reduces the cost of cards and then just puts one on top of your library, so you can basically get your next draw. So it is, and it's really cool because it's only a 3-mana spell. So let's see, where'd it go? What's it called? Forerunner of the Coalition. So this is a brew I want to try out to see if it actually can work. So it's just an all-around drain deck, and I think we have a few other. Isn't there a card? I think Bloodhunter Bat is actually legal. Do you guys know if this card is legal in standard right now? The mini Siege Rhino? Yeah, it's in the welcome deck. Bloodhunter Bat's in the welcome deck. So I thought even having this as a budget option, and I mean it reduces it down to 2 or down to 3, well, and you lose 3 life and gain. That's Siege Rhino.
Yeah, standards.
I mean, of course it's not 4 or 5. Yeah. No, it's in the welcome deck. 100% is in the welcome deck because it's Bloodhunter Bat. Yeah. So all of these things could be like a drain. You got to draw a card. You got to drain. I thought we had another black draw card at the moment too. Maybe it was a little high. We have the raid. Well, let's look at all the black creatures.
There's
so
5 mana
black
drain for each vampire.
And where's the type? Is creature. Yeah, we have the one for. Too bad this isn't a vampire. Champion. Yeah, so we have the Champion of Dusk, and it gets a lot more reasonable with Bantu's Monument. So that's what I was saying. You could go into more of a vampire-based strategy. You draw X cards, you lose life, where X is the number of vampires. Isn't there the reverse one too? That's a vampire. The Twilight Prophet looks interesting. At the beginning of your upkeep, you have Sea's Blessing, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. Each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life. So, and then we also have Gaunty. So there's actually what I meant by black 2 having a lot of utility cards is we got the Chupacabra. So let's just go by mana cost. The ones that I know. The Chupacabra looks really good here. Gaunty looks really good in this slot because they curve 3 into 4, and we're missing a lot of those type of cards. So there is the Ravenous Chupacabra, so you don't feel like you've wasted. I mean, 3 into 5, of course, would be a better curve with Bantus, but 3 into 4 is still not bad because you can usually cast like a 4 and a 2 drop on the same turn. But this will remove a card. We have Noxious Gearhulk that still gets reduced by the Bantus and still gains life. So you can get a nice little spread here. You can have Demon. Demon reduces. That's actually not a terrible card. It actually will reduce Scarab God if you go into some sort of blue-based strategy too. It will reduce cards like Scarab God and Hostage Taker by 1 and still drain them. So
it almost feels like Panharmonicon would make it.
Well, yeah, because Panharmonicon in this deck too would a lot of these have ET effects. So, unfortunately, Forerunner would just shuffle it back in. But yeah, like Bloodhunter Bat would get a double ETB effect, Dust Legion. Yeah, so Panharmonicon could easily go in this deck. This is pretty sweet, actually. Check out Oathsworn. What does Oathsworn do? Oathsworn. Zach's going to run and grab pizza real quick. Anyone want anything while he's out? Oathsworn Vampire. If you gain life, you can recast it from your graveyard. Oh my goodness. This in a sack outlet? Absolutely.
I think Bantu the God would be playable now.
Bantu the God? Yeah, or I think Yahini's better than Bantu. Like, Bantu could definitely be a one of, because it drains as well, doesn't it? Each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Yeah. Yahini. This is, I always, see now I'm double E-ing, and it's 1E, because I'm saying the name wrong. So, well, this is your sack outlet for Oathsworn Vampire. Absolutely, you could easily go vampires. So cut this out. Who cares about pirates? I thought about going more of a pirate tribe because then it also does this pirate Forerunner. You can go Forerunner into Forerunner into Forerunner to Forerunner,
Yeah.
and then going into white. If you splash white too, you could get Dust Dawn to get everything back that dies. Is there a black spell that gets everything back at the moment? I don't think there is, like any sort of reanimation thing. Liliana gets 1 at a time.
Yeah.
We don't have any like mass.
No.
We don't have any mass reanimation at the moment.
Yeah, Bishop of the Bloodstained is one of the reverse, so can't think it does.
Bishop. Bishop of the Bloodstained. So here's another vampire. Enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life for each vampire you control. Yeah, you could definitely spread out with. So we could definitely try just vampires to see how Bantu's vampires works, because this is a vampire. And we still have another 2-drop, the Gifted Aetherborn, that could easily go in here because it goes before Bantu. And it's just a 2/3 Death Toucher. So let's try vampires at the moment and not worry about these Bloodhunter Bats. I mean, it's still, that's a Siege Rhino. It's so cool with Bloodhunter Bat. So, and then same thing with the pirates. We'll look at pirates here in a second, but I think just mono black vampires is a thing. Too bad Gonti's not a vampire. The Chupacabra is not a vampire either, even though these are bloodsuckers. They could have easily made it beast vampire. Come on, Wizards. And they could have got in with a creature type that. Oh, you guys can't even see the sideboard. Sorry, I'm like trying to look at. I'm showcase stuff, and you guys are, what the hell are you showcasing? So anyway, we have the. Let's just look at vampires. What we have in, because we have the draw spell. We also have the. You have this like little combo of recast it, switch 1 down time, and Yahini only gets +1 counter when opponent. The other one does though. We have another sack outlet instead of Yahini. That's a vampire, I believe, or is it a rogue?
It's sorcery. Yeah, I think
it is sorcery speed as well, but we'll see here. Let's go to mana cost. Oathsworn Vampire. So start off the just. Isidore could easily go in this because it's just aggressive. The blood crazed vampire enters the battlefield +1 counter for each creature that turn. This is actually interesting. It's, oh, that's why I wanted to go pirates. The Death Touch, Flash Death Touch too.
oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool with Coalition. But vampires is actually a way to do this because we have the top curve that's definitely better.
And then for some support, the Skymarch Bloodletter.
Skymarch Bloodletter. Oh, wow. This one drains. This is my Bloodhunter Bat. It's not as good, though. Yep. So, we have the Skymarch. And these all do have a bit. Yeah, the Oathsworn has synergy beyond it. Gift Aetherborn can easily go in here. Is there Metallic Mimic at this point can go in here, other than it gives a little bit of a non-bow with that. So we have the Vraska's Conquistador, attacks or blocks. If you control Vraska, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I don't think this one quite works unless we're going to go into Vraska's. That's just a filler card. The Dust Legion we have in here, Blood Crazed Vampire, is an option. Then Yahini is in here, and then we have Voracious Vampire, and as a battlefield target vampire gets +1 menace. It's okay in an aggressive shell, but we're trying to drain here. This one I don't like at all. even though it can be reduced, it's still a 2/2 lifelink. It needed something else to make it worthwhile. I'd rather just play Gifted Aetherborn 100 times over this. So it looks like the other sack outlet's a rogue. It's another Aetherborn that sacks, but it gets a +1 counter permanently for your creatures, not just everyone's creatures. With example, maybe just Yahini and Bantu. We probably still would want Bantu in here because it has the synergy with Oathsworn and still gets reduced, and you can turn Bantu online quite easily, and it gains you. It draws you cards, right? No, it doesn't draw. It scries. Yeah, I keep thinking this card
is fine.
I know. I think this should have drawn a card. I really do. You should sacrifice another creature and draw a card. That would have made Bantu actually playable. If you see the price, it's like $1. No one even plays it.
No one is.
Yeah, Scrap Heap would be okay in this sort of thing too. Pitiless Plunderer. Instant combo with Oathsworn. Oh, spicy Sans Bros. Yeah, we'll look at, it's a pirate, right? So we'll get to it in a second. We'll look at the non-pirates here. So what is Vampire Champion's filler? Well, at least it's got Death Touch. Then we have Vampire Revenant, which is pretty bad. The Sanctum Seeker does look really cool because whenever Vampire you control attacks, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. It is absolutely an option. Twilight Prophet, though, is more likely to be superior. Other than Sea's Blessing might be harder than we're going to give it credit with this particular deck on time. Like the Bantu adds towards it, and it's going to get cards out, and like Dust Legion is going to help. Anointed Deacon is interesting, but no-go. Of course, I think you'd want to go higher on the Bishop or the Champion of Dust. Those are both really good. And then we have the Deathless Ancient, which taps 3 vampires. You can return it from your graveyard to your hand. This card's actually kind of interesting, but probably not playable enough in Standard at that point. So there's the vampires. Let's just look at just black cards again that could go in this. Direfleet Poisoner, of course, is great removal. Let's go back to mana cost early on. We have the... what's some other cards that are worthy enough? Flint Sleeve Siphoner is okay. Probably not. You'd have to go heavier into energy. Don't want the... So you go into pirates, you can get some cool little stuff to then start creating pirate tokens and then have the drain happen that way. But I think vampires is actually the way to go. Oh, yeah, and I thought about Kite Sail Freebooter. Like, reducing the cost of Kite Sail is actually pretty relevant. Then we have Syndic Trafficker is another way you can sack things. No, it only sacks artifacts. Yeah. Seeker Squire is really good with, if you're not caring about creature types, Seeker Squire is good. Because you can also get the Oathsworn, I'm pointing at my screen, you guys can't see me point. You can also get the Oathsworn Vampire in the graveyard with a card like Syndic Trafficker, and same thing with the other Explorer card. We don't like the Wasp. Let's see here. Blighted Bat, Baleful Amit. What are some other... Amit Eternal. I don't think that's in here. Deadeye Tormentor is kind of fun with discarding a card, but it's overcosted. Yeah, it's Divine Salvager is an Aetherborn Artificer. Sacrifice an artifact or creature, put up also counter activate as a sorcery. They can get interrupted. I think Yahini just is better in almost all cases. The Forerunner. So, is it a 3 mana or is that a 4 mana spell, the one that will create the infinite? I think it's a 4 mana. So we have the Lord of the Cursed. We have Plague Belcher. That card's actually good with a zombie. See, now we can go into a zombie route. I don't know if there's enough to make Bantu's Monument worthwhile. I definitely think this is going to be the... Tomb Robber's fun with the Oathsworn Vampire, but you don't get a lot of other value out of it unless you are going like heavier into things that can reanimate. Vengeful Rebel is kind of cool too with things that die but won't make the cut. And Webcraft Enthusiast, no. We have this. Oh, this was another card I was thinking about in going into black. That was it. Marionette Master and Webcraft Enthusiast. You'd explore 3 times. Explore. Yeah. So Fabricate looked kind of cool with, and then you of course get some cool stuff. Bone Picker is neat because then it becomes just 3 mana for a 3/2. However, you want to put this, like, it's good with the Heenies. I've seen decks actually run it with where you wipe the board and then cast a Bone Picker. And it's definitely in those type of things. Gravedigger gets kind of interesting with a card like Bantu's because it helps chain those cards off, but probably doesn't get the card. So it was the Pitiless Pitiless Plunderer that goes infinite with Oathsworn Vampire. So Pitiless Plunderer, Bontus, and Oathsworn Vampire, because it costs 1 less, you're casting it for 1. You're sacrificing it, creating a treasure. Yep, that does it. That is an infinite combo. Cool. So then you could actually, that's where the other pirate could actually come in here to go tutor up the Pitiless Plunderer. Could go in there, but I'm not sure if it would matter at that point. So the cool thing about the Pitiless Plunderer and Oathsworn Vampire is it curves perfectly with Bontu's Monument. Do you see what I'm saying here? It goes Bontu's Monument, then you're reducing this by, I won't point again. You're reducing this, so it's 3, and you're reducing this, so it's 1. Or even if this is in your graveyard. So then you have Yahini. So boom, 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 infinite. That is legit. This is actually legit in this deck. So I think we can start refining it down to where we'd want it to be. So I think we'd want a 4 of this, or possibly... Let's just look at some other cards. Gonti still looks good. Ravenous Chupacabra still looks like a good. Same thing with the Noxious Gearhold, or a mix of them. Still looks pretty decent. I don't know if we care to go into Scarab God for blue or Hostage Taker for blue. That's also what's really gets interesting going into blue for pirates, is you get some really, really neat little black-blue pirates. There's now the Ascend Death Toucher that actually looks pretty decent. A 2/4 Death Toucher that then gets reduced. Then we have, of course, Hostage Taker, which reduces the cost. And does Bontu's then reduce the cost of, if it is a black card you get off of it? I think it does. So you get the double whammy with it. Then we go into, what are some other cards? In this 5 slot is really the one we need to look at to see if anything's worthwhile at the 5 slot. That's an artifact. Let's see. Shout it out in the comment section if there is a card that we've missed. Of course, it makes me want to play Marinette Master. Throw that in the combo. Woo! Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. I don't think it's worthwhile at that point, though. I mean, this, and this, and this. Well, that actually goes even more infinite, but this and this and this starts to because Oathsworn is, yeah, you cast it. It's definitely is a cast trigger. So, but Marinette Master could be your alternate one if you don't have a Bontu's Monument to grind people out, because then you have Oathsworn Vampire, you sacrifice it, it gets a treasure, you sack it, and then you just need to cast another. So you need 2 Pitiless Plunderers, Marinette Master, and Oathsworn Vampire, and a sack outlet, and then you're good to go. Yeah, I know. At that point, it's tough. You're in the definitely a scenario that's going to be harder and harder. So, Pirates seems sweet because if we go Pirates, we don't even need to go Vampires except for the Oathsworn Vampire. But then we do want Yahini as well. So we can still go Vampires and Splash. And is there any good Vampires that have white in it as well? So white-black Vampires that they get reduced. Just Alanda. Is that it? That's all they gave for the tribe? Oh yeah, Vona as well. And this is actually a pretty good card with Bontu's into Vona. Vigilance, Lifelink, destroy target non-land permanent. So going into white is interesting because you have Dust On too that basically gets everything back. So that is decent. I've just haven't really been a fan of it. And you reduce the cost of it by 1, which I don't know if is significant. So going into white, you get Vona, Butcher, and then you also just get Elan. Which gets interesting because then Vampires the right way to go with Pirates is because Pirates is easier at tutoring up.
We're going into
well, I guess it doesn't. Is the piratey one. We have things like the Maverin though that has a lot of synergy with Vampires. Yeah, not a whole lot after that. So let's just stick it to mono black just for simplicity's sake. The pirate. The pirates, you can go Pitiless Plunder, you can go Hostage Taker, they still get reduced. And then you have the other out of that. Plus you get some cool little cards. You get Chart of Course. Yeah, I know. I know. We get Chart of Course as well, which I think works well in this just to get rid of excess Bantus. There's a lot of like things that we don't need in doubles, so Chart just helps basically filter that through. And then, yeah, it's interesting there, but yeah, again, for budget reasons, for keeping into color schemes, let's go with vampires first, and let's then see what we can do with either vampires matters, no tribe matters, or pirates matter. We'll try a combination of both. So, do we need a 1-drop here besides just like Fatal Push? Is Bone Splinter in the format at the moment? We need to reset all our filters. Something that you could easily run in this particular deck. And then there is the -2, -2. I don't think we have to worry too much about life. So like Vraska's Content, Fatal Push, you can even run sweepers like Bantus, but there will be some amount of slot you probably do want to dedicate to like Fatal. You also, what's cool about going into black is cards. I don't know how well Lost Legacy is going to want to be in this format now with the approach decks. It will most likely start to get a lot more popularity with energy out of the way if energy does get banned. I mean, a lot of ifs still. So there's Dispossess that gets rid of Torrential Gearhulk, and there is Lost Legacy that gets rid of and Godfield's Gift. Dispossess does a good job against that. And then there is Lost Legacy that gets rid of a ton of different combos. So that's the neat thing of going into black. Pirate matters too, Kite Sail Freebooter. That is a very, very interesting card with it. But let's stick with vampires. We're getting ahead of ourselves. And we'll get to removal last. But I don't know if we care too much. I think Aetherborn will probably want to be in here still. I mean, I haven't put all 4s in all 4s of all the cards we want. I'm not quite sure Skymarch Bloodletter is a card that wants to be in here or not, because it just still might be. Yeah, we're draining though, so it's adding an additional drain. Panharmonicon. So Tyler's saying we have to put Panharmonicon in here too. How many? Two Panharmonicons.
Don't want it to.
Yeah, because you get double off Dust Legion. You get you don't get anything off the cast triggers, but you definitely get all of the ETB effects, which is the Bishop and the.
Are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know if Sanctum Seeker actually wants to be in here either. Well, Champion Dusk we definitely want. Yeah, you want Champion as a 4-of in this deck, I would assume. Because it curves the best and it fills back up our hand. So I think that Champion of Dusk is one of the better cards here. I think just 1 Bantu's and probably Bantu the Glorified, and then 3... It's like 3-mana Vampire Eat Something. My sound's cutting out.
My dog.
I don't know. It's looking good on my end. Hopefully it's still good. Let's see here. Is the sound better now? Let us know. This is putting us quite low and without removal. So if we're going Panharmonicon, then definitely the Sky Marcher. I don't think we have room for Sanctum Seeker.
No, probably not.
And Gifted Aetherborn is kind of the non-bow, but I still think it's the best in that slot to help us get to where we need to be. And the Pitiless Plunderer, I think, is actually pretty decent in multiple. Significant combo with Oathsworn Vampire. However, we don't have any ETB. You'd still need the Bantu's Monument. So, is there anything that says whenever Vampire enters the battlefield, do something? Cutting out too? I'll be so mad. Maybe if that's the case, I hope it's not my Shure microphone that's causing the problem, because this is the second one I've gone through with the Icicle. Alrighty. Let's see here. So we have room for 23 lands, which is reasonable. The Dust Zealot, of course, is a must. The Yahenni is a must in 3. The Bantu is a must. Twilight Prophet we still kind of want. So Bloodcrazed Vampire enters battlefield plus 1 on each creature that died this turn. That is a really good thing with the Oathsworn Vampire. Like you could have an alternate. Yeah, but at that point we already are infinite. I don't know if Bloodcrazed Vampire or Paladin wants to be in here either. I think the 2-drop slot would rather be in the form of Gifted Aetherborn, and rather than trying to be cute with that. So the Bishop, we want all 4 Bishops too. If we're going, of course, Panharmonicon.
Yeah. Maybe me saying Panharmonicon is kind of forcing you too much into the...
Well, we'll try one Panharmonicon. We'll try if you draw it, you draw it. Panharmonicon's fun too if we start going in the blue route. This is the problem, is I think the standard we have too much options.
Freebooter, it's cool too.
Yeah, the Kitesail Freebooter gets 2 cards. Cards like even Ravenous Chupacabra, Gaunty, Noxious Gearhulk. Might be time to, yes, Panharmonicons do stack, you're correct, but at that point, I don't know if we want more. How come it's not finding anything Bishop related? Bishop of the Bloodstained, okay. I wonder if it's lag issues we're having, actually, I guess if the music would stay steady, though. So Bishop in this slot. I still think we'd want the 4 Bantus because it's really, really relevant with this. And so maybe it's like Gifted Aetherborn that could just get cut.
It could be a sideboard card.
The Aetherborn?
Yeah.
The thing is, we want a lot of vampires out to get the most. So, and we haven't added the Twilight Prophet, but again, we don't even know if Twilight Prophet, how relevant Twilight Prophet's going to be.
Yeah, those 5 drops in the game kind of good.
Which 5-drop?
Just because when you reveal, they lose life equal to the mana cost, right?
Okay. Yeah, but you have to have Ascend.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how many scenarios we're going to get Ascend. I think in Standard, Ascend is going to be a lot harder because you want non-creature permanents like the Bantus. Well, Bishop does the opposite of the... Where's the other... Of the Champion of Dusk. So this one's losing you life. This one is a finisher with this one because it's entering the battlefield. Target opponent loses 1 life for each vampire you control. So it's losing 1 life with Bantus, and it's losing another life with Bishop. If you have another creature vampire out, it's losing an additional. But I can definitely see how maybe this is just overkill in the 5-drop. Maybe we can cut down to 2 of them, and that puts us back to being able to use other cards. Like, yeah, I'm still not set on Twilight Prophet being in here. It's one of those mysteries. Will we have enough out? I mean, that's the one good thing with Bantus, it allows you to kind of flood the board with your next turn. So, for example, if you go Bantus, then have 2 Dusk Legions, it goes boom, boom. And then you still have 3 mana left over to cast something else. So you could really go like Dusk Legion, Dust Legion. So you have 5 lands on board, a Bantus at 6, 7, 8, 9 with the Twilight Prophet. If you have 1 more card out, that's 10. So, yeah, I see that point, but I'm wondering if that's the right route to go. The thing is, too, if we go into like a blue, eventually go into blue, you might not need as many Oathsworn Vampires because you'll need 1 in the graveyard. But I think in this, of course, in this version, it's definitely with the Pitiless Plunder, it's the route to go. So I think it'd be something like this. Of course, you'd have to have to mess around with the numbers. So for simplicity's sake, I don't think that the Twilight Prophet is going to be in here. And then for your removal, I think Ravenous Chupacabra would actually be a card that is pretty decent. Of course, the Bloodhunter Bat, I don't think. It gets even more cute with Panharmonicon and Bloodhunter Bat. But Bloodhunter Bat, I think you'd replace the Bishop. They're doing similar things. But, I mean, you could go, again, once we go into Tribes Don't Matter, though, Bloodhunter Bat might get the nod over it. But I think this is a good little solid list with the... we said Gifted Aetherborn could go... I still think we want as many 2-drops as possible. Because you want to be proactively getting stuff out before... Yeah, Blood Craze instead of Gifted Aetherborn. I just don't see the point to Blood Craze. I think Gifted Aetherborn is almost always going to be better. Yes, I see that if you get kind of this loop going with the Oathsworn Vampire, then yeah, you can get kind of out of control with the Bloodstained Vampire, but I don't know if it's necessary.
Gate to the Afterlife is kind of interesting.
Gate to the Afterlife?
In
So, Gate to the Afterlife is something that can work with Yahini and then draw through a bunch of your so if you have Oathsworn Vampire and then Gate to the Afterlife. See, now of course I want to go back into Marionette Master with this, because this actually does get interesting, because Marionette Master gets reduced, so you can actually go 3 and then Marionette Master will cost 5. So does anything really add a lot of treasure tokens in this format? Yeah, there is a couple of them that do pump out treasure tokens. So Noxious Gearhulk with Piteous Plunder, yeah, you'd have to mess with the numbers. Again, we don't know where the right amount of numbers, if even Gifted Aetherborn needs to be in here, and you can go more Chupacabras, you can go, because what I'm trying to say with, if you go into Gate to the Afterlife, Gate does a good thing because we'll get rid of other Bantus. It's kind of giving you the non-bow with the gaining life. I think we're doing enough to gain life. I guess it offsets the Dusk Legion, but once you have the sack outlet out, you can sack and loot. So you get Yahini, and then you just sack everything you have to loot, and then you can eventually find the Pitiless Plunder. So it allows you to play like less copies of probably Oathsworn Vampire and the Pitiless Plunder. And then Marionette Master, of course, gets really, really interesting here too, because then you can go the God Pharaoh's Gift, because God Pharaoh's Gift can be tutored up from the Gate to the Afterlife, and then you can get the Marionette Master, put it on 4, actually you can put it on 7, and then sacrifice everything to the Pitiless Plunderer, and then have the treasure tokens to sack to Marionette Master. So that gets super interesting as well, that route. There is a lot of things we can do with this entire archetype. And we haven't even touched on, what does Black-Red give us? What does, you go into Black-Red, you get Cathartic Reunion.
That Black-Green enchantment when a creature dies.
Black-Green enchantment when a creature does... Oh! The Journey to Discovery. Or Journey to something. Journey into Afterlife. Journey into Nowhere. Journey into something. Yeah, that gets kind of cool too, because then it comes back. So, and of course... Yeah, of course we have other... We have going all in on Panharmonicon.
I think blue-black is the right area to go with Panharmonicon.
Yeah, blue-black with Panharmonicon. We get some other interesting cards too with that. Is that a vampire? The blue-black... Hey, reset this. The one, I think it's an Artificer. I thought it might have been a vampire. The one that Conley Woods runs in his 1/4 lifelink card. Oh, wow. I'm like, Dustmantle Seer? That's legal and standard? Absolutely, this is going in. Oh, wow. See, this is funny. This is a card that saw absolutely no play in standard when it was in Gate Crash. This card would be a boss right now. This card would be an absolute boss in standard. It would still die to Glorybringer, but still, it's pretty good. So anyway, where were we going with this? Standard. One of these days I'm going to learn how to work MTGO. No, okay, it's not. The card I was thinking about, the 1/4, whenever an artifact comes into play, Scry, is not a vampire. And it doesn't look like we get anything else out of the non-vampires. Of course, going into white gets this. This thing, I think, looks better. See, even the Oketra's Monument version still looks pretty good with vampires. And then having, like, either the Champion of Dusk coming out or the Bishop of Bloodstained. So you could even, instead of going Bantus, go into the Oketras and then just go the traditional white vampires and still have a pretty good game plan. I mean, Oketra's Monument is already using a vampire tribal. Journey to Eternity, Cave of Eternity. Yep. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of good cards. The only thing I think we're really missing is cards that sacrifice themselves, like Secure Tri-Builder. Right now we have 2 cards that do a good job sacking themselves. That is, besides Yeheni, that is the Hope of Garper and the Beaumont Courier are really the only 2 that are that way. I guess we do get the other 1/1 Haster out of Red Haste card. So a Jund version of the Journey into Eternity is definitely a deck, Huracan, that I'm looking at building in the future, because we get a lot of awesome cards at that point from those color combinations. All right, so where were we with this? Yeah, I think it will be a mix. You'd have to playtest this like crazy and then figure out where you're losing. And we have Gonti. I think even Mono Black with Panharmonicon is still really good. But Blue Black? Yeah, Hostage Taker takes 2 creatures. Gonti gets 2 cards.
Well, I've been using like Trespasser's Curse with it too.
Trespasser's Curse? So you're forcing your opponent to... Oh, you're putting the Dowsing Dagger. Yeah, the Dowsing Dagger with Panharmonicon.
No.
So... Does that actually... Because it says whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control... If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a trigger of ability of permanent you control. Yes, so Dowsing Dagger does work with Panharmonicon. Mm-hmm. Yep. So then Trespass Curse. That's a neat little brew. Hostage Taker. Yep. Yeah, Blue Black still, even adding Scarab God is still really cool. I think we're spoiled. I think there's a lot of... You go into Esper, you can get that other card that... The Cloud Chaser? Cloud something? Draws 2 life, and Cloud Blazer draws 2 cards and and you gain 2 life. Mm-hmm. Jeez. People need to look. I know Panharmonicon kind of lost a lot of steam when Reflector Mage was banned, but it's kind of funny that people got a replacement to Reflector Mage called Hostage Taker, and Panharmonicon hasn't had a resurgence. I think this card has just been forgotten about. There is a lot more artifact hate that exists now that didn't exist.
Yeah,
a braid just absolutely wrecks any sort of artifact matters type strategy. The thing though that Panharmonicon used to be really good about back... Oh, they lost Veldar Guardian too. They got double kicked in the nuts with that ban. Yeah. So, or was Veldar actually... Reflector Mage got banned first. Yeah, it was gone before. But Panharmonicon was definitely a legit deck back then. Like, it actually could... Like, that's funny. Like, everyone talks about how good energy is. Actually, it's how bad the rest of these sets have been compared to, like, Eldritch Moon and Oath of the Gatewatch and Battle for Zendikar. Because there were strategies that I think that would actually be able to beat the sheer value of energy. I don't think energy could compete with good old Elder Deep Fiend back before. I guess we did see some energy before. Yeah, no, it didn't really take off until after rotation. We saw energy was just another tier 1, tier 2 deck. So yeah, it's there. I think people should go back and look at some of the decks that existed before energy took over and revisit them.
Banned, we're gonna have a big opportunity to do that.
Well, yeah, it's gonna force people to brew when a tune gets banned, because it'll shake things up. But still, cards like Panharmonicon, those were legit cards.
There's a lot of value there.
Yeah. So, huh. Well, there's another idea. We won't perfect it yet. I'm going to show you one more, but the pizza just arrived, so we're going to ditch you guys for some pizza. Because pizza, my stomach is growling in, and I'm desperate need of diarrhea, I guess. So we're going to eat some Little Caesars. And I'm going to hate myself later on at 2 in the morning during the pre-release. And playing someone, I'll have to get up and make a run for it. Anywho, enough about my bowel movements. Let's go to another card. Speaking of which, that I am just itching to... Is that how you spell Indomitable? Yeah. Fine, we'll do Creativity. Creativity. This is another one that I want to revive. I did a deck for this a long time ago. And I think that it is going to have a rebirth because of this card right here. Pirate's Pillage. Pirate's Pillage works really well with Indomitable Creativity because it adds those treasure tokens that can be pesky to create without creatures sometimes. Like blue has some ways to do it. I guess they all kind of do. But Pirate's Pillage does it works double duty with Indomitable Creativity because it puts stuff in your graveyard so you get a loot for things you want. Because most of the decks that I've been successful with Indomitable Creativity have also been reanimation type strategy decks. So there's 2 ways to reanimate it because Indomitable Creativity also has a lot of synergy with this card, Godpharaoh's Gift. So, and you wouldn't have to run a lot. Maybe you would want all 4 because this is definitely a deck that could. But you don't want like Gate to the Afterlife though. So yeah, I think you would want 4 of because this is the route that I'm thinking. Of course, we already do have a Godpharaoh's Gift refurbished deck in Standard at the moment. And this one might also go into Jeskai because you can get cool cards like Chart a Course but the main reason for blue though was to get the Champion because Champion had a lot of synergy with Godpharaoh's Gift. But this adds the 2 treasure tokens for Indomitable Creativity, and then you can still even run a few other cards that just add treasure tokens to the mix. We did it with clue tokens back in the day, but treasure tokens are also very reliable. Because treasure tokens also ramp you into Godpharaoh's Gift if you need to. Like, look at Pirate's Pillage into Godpharaoh's Gift. That curves. You go 4 into 7. So you cast this on your turn 4. You drop a land on turn 5. You have the mana for Godpharaoh's Gift. So we can look at Marionette Master again. That's always a way to go. Marionette Master does have some synergy with Indomitable Creativity to then sacrifice all of those to go get things. But I think the way that I want to go with this deck is just the Gear Hulks and Atali. I think Atali is a one of, and mainly the Gear Hulks is a good little strategy to go with it. So anyway, what was some other... So Brass's Bounty could also be in this deck, and you could run a ton of control. This is another deck that I'm going to be running in the future, but for this video's sake, let's see here. So the Wily Goblin, Captain Linary Storm, we have the Heartless Pillage that gets a treasure token, but yeah, you can see there's not a lot of stuff that adds... Pirate's Pillage adds those 2. So maybe we'll have to look at some other things that... Well, there's Pia, but Pia isn't something you want to hit. Like Indomitable Creativity, I want to make sure that I hit stuff that are...
I thought it was just artifacts.
No, it gets artifacts and or creatures. Oh, okay. So that's what Indomitable Creativity does. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe this isn't as good as I thought it was going to be of actually...
So if you do Gear Holds, then it might Creativity into a Godpharaoh's Gift though too.
Yeah, but that's why if you Creativity into Godpharaoh's Gift, it's fine because you have stuff in your graveyard. That's the whole thing. If they're in your hand, drop them in your graveyard. So I used to run things like Cathartic Reunion and Tormenting Voice in this particularly. So Cathartic and maybe I'll do Reunion. Because people forget this card is still in this format too. So and we also have Tormenting Voice. So we have enough. You can actually play an extremely low land count, like 20, 21, because you can rely on Tormenting Voice. The only problem with Tormenting Voice and Cathartic Reunion is if we do go back into a can't even spell voice today, into a format dominated by black-blue or white-blue control, both of these cards are awful.
Well, there's the blue one, the better.
What, the Chart a Course, or... Yeah, I know. If we're going blue, which I don't know if blue is the right route to go. But you have Tormenting Voice, Cathartic Reunion, and Pirate's Pillage that all will put stuff in the graveyard for, like, specifically the Godpharaoh's Gift if you draw it. And then Indomitable Creativity finds it the other way. And these all have pretty high converted mana cost, that it actually makes this card Shine, Combustible Gearhulk. You could hit a lot of damage off of this little combo, because they give you kind of damage you to those scenarios. So you're either drawing cards or... And then, of course, you can go Noxious Gearhulk that will help you. You can even go Razaketh. As far as big, dumb creatures right now in the standard format. Yeah, we actually finally do have a lot. When Indomitable Creativity came out, there were Eldrazi's, and then that was it. There wasn't a lot of stuff that had any sort of ETB effect. But right now, we do have some fun little creatures that we can grab. This one, of course, is kind of awkward because it's a... Oh, no, this is... Oh, if you cast it. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, the ETB effect's kind of weird with it. Gishoth is... You could actually go a Dinosaur Brew with it, but I don't know if I would recommend it. But we do have Razaketh. That gets kind of interesting too, because it gives you another way to sacrifice to go search for something. I don't know how relevant that would be, but there are some. There's this one, Zidalpa, which has Flying, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Indestructible. So you could always go the combo with it and maybe hit the Samut that gives it haste. So if you hit Samut and that, then you have a 2 double strikers that are attacking in for probably still not even quite enough though with it. And then there just is a lot of cards that I think are more interesting than we had before to reanimate. If you even go down, there's another dinosaur that you run in here with Burning Sun's Avatar. If we go back to a format where 3 damage to a creature matters, I think this is a pretty decent one to ramp in, or to Indomitable Creativity into. It gets value. It gets value again when you get it back from God Pharaoh's Gift. And but Atali is something in here. So you can go Indomitable Creativity into dinosaurs, then have Gishoth, because Gishoth doesn't care how it gets reanimated. It doesn't care if it gets back from God Pharaoh's Gift or Indomitable Creativity gets haste. So Trample, Vigilance, Haste. Combat average player, reveal the top of your card for that many dinosaurs. If you go into just a dinosaur recursion strategy, Atali's a great one. The double strike one is decent. Is there anything that gives all your dinosaurs haste? That didn't give dinosaurs. Oh yes, yeah, the alpha. Yeah, so you could definitely go Indomitable dinosaurs. Hey, that's a good little ring to it.
Yeah, it does.
And then there's a lot of other cards though that are very worthwhile. This one gives him double strike. Exquisite Arcades is kind of fun to grab. This would make a good sideboard if we're going into white.
What artifacts are you destroying? What are you targeting with creativity?
Pirate's Pillage. Oh, that's the other card. The other card that I was thinking to definitely put in here is for Indomitable Creativity. Would most likely need to be the Angel of Invention, because that gives you another card that is good if you Indomitable into, and also... Oh, no, I know what it was. Why would white? Because white gives us this other one. SRAM's Expertise.
Oh, yeah.
So SRAM's Expertise is your other Indomitable. So I know it's kind of a non-bow here, because you're not reanimating, but SRAMs can still find... Like, you can go SRAMs into Tormenting Voice on one turn. And this gives you 3, and usually that's kind of the sweet spot for Indomitable Creativity, because once you get above 3, this does have this pesky little X cost to it. So the more and more you sacrifice, the harder it is. So SRAM's Expertise is great here to find with, yeah, the
creativity to hit.
Indomitable Creativity. How good would Madcap Experiment be in this list? If you didn't have to worry about losing too much life, grab a Gearhulk for 4. But also, speaking of Gearhulk, another really sweet one, if we go into a go-wide strategy that might make this deck worthwhile, is going to be the Combustible Gearhulk. I think this card, keep your eye out on Combustible, or Cataclysmic Gearhulk, excuse me. This card, I think, just got a ton better in the meta. If we have a lot of go-wide strategies, this isn't nearly as good as the old-school sorcery that did this, that had you choose it. Both players get to choose them, but if this is still a format where there's going to be a lot of creatures, Cataclysmic Gearhulk is going to put it in check. So Cataclysmic Gearhulk is definitely a good option for this. So this was the Gearhulk strategy I was thinking of. It's just 4 and 4. Is there another artifact that's worthwhile of reanimating? Noxious was the other one. And so Noxious, you wouldn't even need to run black in here. You could just absolutely just go red, white, and that'd be good enough for Noxious Gearhulk, because you can throw it away with Cathartics or Pirate's Pillage, or some sort of...
Well, if you were playing black, Liliana wasn't bad.
Yeah, Liliana was the... When I used to play Indomitable Creativity, Liliana was the other way that I could get back cards. Because there's a 5 mana that then could get back a particular creature. So there's definitely that route to go with it. But yeah, this was Archangel actually is pretty good just to reanimate, because then they have to kill it or kill... Like, if they kill you, you just go back to your starting life total. That's not terrible. Hey, we could hit a Whisperweave Angel too, which exiles a creature and then returns it. Another Gearhulk. Probably not worthwhile. See some other big... Demon. I had Demon in the sideboard. This is a card I did have in the sideboard of my Indomitable, because it was another board wipe like Cataclysmic Gearhulk. You could go into blue as well, blue-black, and still have Scarab. Does Scarab get out of the format, because it's like crowding space?
It does, it really does.
This one's kind of awkward with Tezamok. You could have one in your hand and start revealing stuff and then find one off your Hulk. I don't think it's worthwhile. Yeah, something like this. Myriad Master, of course, still gets interesting, because then it gives you cards that then you can Indomitable Creativity, and it kind of gives you the sack outlet. You can still go God Pharaoh's Gift, put it on 4, get the 3 servos, sack them, they lose 12 life there. But that just, at this point, gets just too cute, in my opinion. But yeah, Atali looks fun with God Pharaoh's Gift. I think if Atali, though, if you want to go all out on Atali, the Dinosaur strategy does look very interesting. Just play one of, and you can run the alphas, because the alpha does give you a token you can mess around with too, and gives them haste. So like you hit these two off of Indomitable Creativity, and then you have 7 plus 13 power swinging in, and Atali's going to get you immediate advantage. Atali seems very interesting with God Pharaoh's Gift too, with coming back in even as a 4/4, and you're getting value. Not bad at all. So, Angel of Invention, I thought about, of course, putting in here because it plays double duty. It's a great thing to get back with God Pharaoh's Gift. It's also something you can use with Indomitable Creativity to sacrifice the servos. You get 2 servos off of it. So I think Angel of Invention would want to be somewhere in this list. Where is the Angel of Invention? Maybe it's with A's. So I don't know if it'd be better than SRAMs, or if you are going to run like a SRAM, or the other one is just the Servo. Servo Exhibition works for it. But Angel of Invention. Something like that. But you can see we're already... You'd need a lot of removal in this deck. This is where you can run the new... each player sacrifices it down to 4 power. Fumigate would go really well in this deck to help stabilize. Hour of Devastation would go extremely well in this, because it also would get rid of Planeswalkers. We did have the other way of going into to reanimate this to go into Liliana. There's a lot of routes you can go with this particular deck. So you can even get these ones. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a Huatli. Ooh, Dinosaur Knight. What does the Dinosaur Knight do? Is that the ones that came out of the Planeswalker pack? But I'm sure there's got to be some cards that we're overlooking that do really well in this sort of slot. I think the 6 mana, 7 mana is probably the, since it has the synergy with Pirate's Pillage, is where you want to be with of the cards you want reanimated. I even thought about these in the past, like just cycling them in the graveyard, and then you get the enough for the god. See, I'm surprised that no one's tried like a cycling strategy with Gates to the Afterlife as just a way to put enough in the graveyard. I know they did, the early Gate decks did, and then they found that they were just kind of pathetic to reanimate. So, what were you saying?
Does Chandra want to be in here?
Chandra definitely does. Yeah, Chandra, if you want to go even more expensive, I think would go really well in this deck, because it adds you the 2 mana, so it ramps you up. So you can hard cast God Pharaoh's Gift a lot. So the other slots would just be, you probably wouldn't need this many Cathartic Fusions, Tormenting Voices type stuff. It'd need to be a Braids, some sort of removal spells. They help you get to the long game. But yeah, this is a dinosaur too. So dinosaurs, like, screw the Gearhulk. You probably, I don't know if you would, yeah, because Donald Creativity doesn't care. But about going into creatures or. But I mean, you have a lot of cool ETB effects or haste effects in dinosaurs. With that big Indomitable Creativity can get you some very scary stuff. Like the Burning Sun Avatar can clear the way, and then have a 6/6, then can get Trample, which then actually works off the other big dinosaur. So we'll definitely want to be brewing around with are people going to run this in God Pharaoh's Gift? Ugh. I don't know if they want it.
I think more like that mono blue can't be countered creature.
The mono blue can't be countered. Oh, the dinosaur?
That might
Which one can't be? Oh, yeah. Probably not in God Pharaoh's Gift, though. It's just going to be a control finisher.
I mean, not in
the Primal Tide.
Of the Second Sun.
Oh, Approach? Oh, yeah, I think so as well. People are talking about another card that they're going to run. Oh, this. I had a huge argument about this. Why do Approach decks want this versus this? That just seems a lot easier to protect and kills in as many turns. This takes 3 turns to kill an opponent, right? 8 is 24. This takes 3 turns to kill. I see the evasiveness of this card. I do. The Vigilance... No! Yeah, Flying. Okay, Flying, Vigilance, Triumph, yes, it's very evasive. But this card is just easier to protect. And not that card. So I think this card will definitely be the choice in those Approach the Second Suns. Rekindling Phoenix works kind of nice with Cataclysmic Gearhulk. Yes, because you can kill it and then it comes back as a 0/1. This is Rekindling Phoenix is definitely a card that I want to mess around with, for sure. So there's a lot of room for innovation. So my challenge to you before I close this stream is definitely get those brewer hats, brewer sticks, brewer whatever, brewer goggles going and try to brew. Even in this energy format too, I found that's a lot of people have bitched and moaned and whined about energy dominated standard. I think it's annoying too. I've also heard that people are blaming Ramen-Up and Approach the Second Sun as much, and I actually agree with them. I think that Approach and Ramen-Up are just as much of the problem with the stale standard we have right now, because if you build a deck that beats energy, it really does struggle. Versus, you have on one extreme, you have Ramen-Up that is trying to kill you by, what, turn 5? Is that pretty, or inevitably kill you after. Like, if you stabilize at turn 4, turn 5, then they have ways to just start doing direct damage in the face through their lands, or through Hazoret. So, or Earthshaker Kenra coming back. So it's really good at pushing through that last bit of damage, which has typically been Red's problem. So, there's that angle that you have to deal with in Standard. And then you have this godforsaken card called Approach the Second Suns, which I can't stand these type of cards. What we call time clock decks, kind of how Scapeshift works, or Tron in Modern, where you just have to cast it twice. That's the prerequisite to winning. So you can build an entire deck around just casting one card twice. So you could ignore the rest of the kind of the caveats of Magic, just the attack, life total, things like that, to have a card that alternately wins by a different method. That is, to me, so you better win fast, or you die to Approach. You better stabilize a fist against the fast deck, or you die to Ramen-Up. And you better be able to play the grindy card advantage strategy versus Teamer. And that's what we have this really, I guess, in that opinion, it does, in that sense, it does remind me of Ravnica Standard. We had Supreme Verdict, Do Nothing control deck. We had Boros Burn. We had Mono Black Devotion. And then somewhat in the mix of things, you'd find a Mono Blue every now and again. And it was impossible to brew in that area. That was one of the most frustrating times as a brewer that I've ever had, because it was tough to build a deck that could actually beat those decks. And I guess you could see the argument, but Marionette Master, my Marionette Master deck, this Marionette GPG, this one right here, I have very successful versus Approach decks, very successful versus Teamer Energy decks, and very successful versus Ramen-Up. It was actually the other decks, these Oketcher's Monuments, or I was actually pretty good against abs and tokens, though. But I'd find you get these other roguish strategies that end up being difficult for this deck to beat. But this at least was possible to build a deck in the format to kind of combat the very different ways that each one of these top tier decks approach Ravenup and Teamer were trying to attack it. So I'm hoping that we do that isn't approach in Ravenup that just continue to screw this format up, because that's I even refer back to clear back in Zendikar, Battle for Zendikar, or not Battle for Zendikar, original Zendikar. People used to complain about Caw-Blade, but it was really Valakut that was screwing up that format. Is that Valakut was the cancer. Caw-Blade, yes, Caw-Blade, of course.
Reaction to it?
Well, no, Caw-Blade was still the #1 deck even before. People forget that too. That before we had the Stoneforge Mystic with Batterskull, there's Caw-Blade was already on the rise. People want to blame Stoneforge for Batterskull. It made it from the best deck to impossibly to beat the best, because Boros Landfall used to do really well against it. It was the counter, and Mono Black Vampires also did really well against Caw-Blade at the time. But when then they got the Stoneforge into Batterskull, there's zero ways that you could beat it. So, but there was a few little other strategies that people were creating that did have some sort of game, because they also played the mid-range deck, or the control very well, strategy pretty well to beat Caw-Blade, but they were really terrible against Valakut, because Valakut was just a time, like, you only had 6 turns to beat Valakut. If you couldn't beat Valakut in 6 turns, you're dead. And those decks couldn't compete versus that angle where you had to kill Valakut quickly or control it, and also try to outvalue Caw-Blade. So yeah, we've had some standards where people want to blame a particular strategy when I think that they're blaming the wrong boogeyman. And in this case, it might be Approach's fault. It might be Ravenup's fault that we have such a stale standard at the moment. This Teamer is just really good against both of those. It is. It has game versus Ravenup, and has game versus Ravenup and Catcher's Monument and Abzan tokens, and it's just really good at combating that because it's a value-based strategy. Yeah. So, I actually do fear for Standard. See now I start off this little ramble like, hey everyone, get your little brewer hats on, let's brew, and then I'm like, oh crap, we have Approach still in this godforsaken.
I agree with what Ken Shockley said.
Cool, Approach the second sun equals sucks. What, Hedron Alignment? What?
It's cool, but Approach the second sun.
Hedron Alignment is cool and Approach is suck. Well, yeah, when you have to like put a lot of effort into something, sure.
Alternate win con should be hard to achieve.
Yeah, revel in the riches. It's tough.
Yeah.
Not this. Let's cast it twice. Oh, let's put it 7. Let's put it 7 below.
And then if you have it in your hand already.
Yeah, exactly. You have another copy of it. They should have made it exile instead of 7 below, so you'd have to have that second copy of it.
Do you think they'll play Induced Amnesia in Approach?
Induced Amnesia. What does that one do?
Yeah, exile your hand and draw that many cards.
Oh, because it just goes and grabs it?
Depending on how many cards you have.
Oh my god. I mean, Search for Azcanta's already pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Typically, though, in control decks, you can just stall for a couple turns. You still have Glimmer. You still have a lot of ways that Glimmer goes through 4 cards, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. God,
it's a way to combat it too sometimes.
Yes. Well, there's been a lot of games I've won because of this versus Approach. So there will be certain Approach decks that only run 1, and then you mill it, or 2, and then you mill it with Minister. Or the thing is too that some of the early on Approach decks had their own mill strategies, so they've already gotten rid of 1. Like if they ran Chart of Course, or they ran a few. What is the other? Pull from Tomorrow. There were some of them that did just chuck it in the graveyard. Is there another card I'm not thinking? Oh, Champion doesn't really run in that anymore. Oh, so there it is. Search for Azcanta. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. So they'll get rid of some early approaches with Search for Azcanta. I'm like, oh, cool. You have how many in your graveyard? Oh, where'd you just put that approach? And then I mill it with Minister of Inquiries when they try to draw it. So yeah, there's that little. You can't combat it that way, but it's definitely the standard though. I want to stay optimistic, but now that I'm actually thinking about it, good God, I do worry about Approach and Ravenup because they are really attacking the standard at very extremes at the moment, and we could be setting ourselves right back up for the Valakut Caw-Blade or the Boros Burn versus Sphinx's Revelation / Supreme Verdict strategy we had during Ravnica. See, a lot of people didn't mind that standard. I hated that standard. I think it was one of the worst standards of my entire Magic career.
I think the new set is really pushing a go wide strategy though, which I think ramming up is gonna kind of have.
Yeah, ramming up is easier. Yeah, but then it's just because we have this like rock paper already established, so we have approach that's just gonna crap on those strategies. Because I don't know any sort of go wide strategy that's gonna be able to beat Fumigate or search for the wreckage very well. So they have to have a way that they can push through and just take out the approach to Second Sun before it can stabilize, and that's tough with Authority of the Consuls too. That's still in here. If anyone wants to go wide, you're gaining them a ton of life with Authority. So we might see approach start putting in a lot of authorities in their sideboard again, like they used to combat Ramming Up. And the Ramming Up 2 also still does have, against go wide, they still have Rampaging Ferocidon, and they still have Harsh Mentor that you'd be surprised. You'd think that Oketra's Monument is just a really good deck against Ramming Up, and Ramming Up can beat it down. It's just a solid deck that can push through a lot of damage, unconventionally push through damage. So that's yeah. Let's hope there's a lot of room for brews. There are a lot of interesting Kaladesh, Aether Revolt, Hour of Devastation, Omniket cards that I still think are deserving of spotlights that never really had the chance, because at the very first of Kaladesh 2 we had the artifacts was the strategy. It was just all Kaladesh really pushed the artifact theme, the vehicle theme.
A lot of really cool cards we haven't had an opportunity to play.
Yeah, well, we've been looking at Panharmonicon again. That card was insane. Look, Aetherworks Reservoir could have a comeback with some of the. Is there any really good Cantropy stuff in this set? We got from last one. I don't know. You could do a spell version.
Yeah.
Hey, Dynavolt Tower could come back. There's definitely a lot of room for innovation. A lot of cool cards too from Ixalan that never even got to see the light of day. And then Rivals too. Let's hope.
Let's be hopeful.
Let's cross our fingers. However, we do have that still energy. We're still even jumping to conclusions that Wizards will make a ban. And then we still have Ramming Up and everything. So yeah, Braid does affect that. That has messed up a lot of things. Anyway, I appreciate everyone joining for our short little stream. I do have to get the store ready. Whenever Tyler's in, we'll try to steal him and come in here and just try to brew around. I know we didn't make any deck lists, but hopefully we gave you some ideas too of little routes to go. And I'll refine these, and as soon as the cards aren't insanely expensive on MTGO, I'll start playing some games. So appreciate everyone for coming in the stream at short notice, and we'll see you next time.